Hey everyone, Dan here. Today we're going to take a look at Clover Health and the potential for a short squeeze. Uh, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And let's get right into it. So Clover Health, by way of a little bit of background, was beaten down by this short seller report from Hindenburg, basically saying that the king of SPACs, Chamath Palihapitiya, had misled investors about critical aspects of Clover's business, and this obviously led to an ensuing sell-off that was quite catastrophic. The beatdown looks something like this. So you see there toward the middle left of the chart, you see February 4th, 2021. That's the date that the report had printed on it. And so it's actually tried to hold pretty steady there for the first few hours, but it just gave way to nearly a 50% sell-off. Obviously sold off well over 50% from its 1745 high that you can see there in the days preceding the Hindenburg report. So that's the type of catastrophe that we're talking about here. Clover came back and basically said, that there's very questionable aspects of the short seller report that they disagree with, and that they tried to do damage control essentially and tried to reframe a bunch of things, but they also had to admit that the SEC had opened an investigation, and that definitely did not help things. So they were trying to do this basically the very next day, but there was just too much momentum against them at that point, in my opinion. Then all of that sell-off very recently has started to lead to short squeeze speculation. So you see all of this news activity, and this is just three of many. But basically pointing out that there's speculation that there's up to 150% short interest in CLOV, and that obviously mirrors much of the situation that we've seen around Wall Street bets type situations with GameStop and AMC and those sorts of things. So I would say from my perspective, it pretty clearly established a floor at 7, which is definitely abysmal. I would not argue against that. But since this short squeeze speculation has picked up, obviously the price has gone through a bit of a jostling, if you will. It's had this roller coaster effect, and it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens. See if the speculation around the potential for a short squeeze has any validity behind it. If we look at the micro chart, so this is the 5-day, 5-minute chart. Basically, it had this big run-up yesterday where it jumped off of that green uptrend support that you see toward the bottom there, and then was continuing to pick up in the pre-market, but then has been caught in this pretty atrocious down channel the entire day, which is leading it back toward where it opened yesterday, which is pretty nutty. My expectation is that it would hold that 994 level, and if it does break it, that it would absolutely hold that upward green trend line. If it doesn't, then it's in real trouble, in my opinion. That could sort of lead one to believe that the shorts have it, but those are the zones that I think it needs from a price target perspective. It has a lot of work to do to really establish support at several areas. Just within the $10 to $11 range, much less getting through the $11 range. So lots and lots of work to do if this one's going to have a big swing to the upside. But obviously a short squeeze definitely holds the potential for huge moves very quickly. The moving averages, which I didn't show on here, just, trying to show the chart not be so cluttered. But I did look at them, and they recently formed bearish sort of untanglings. They were kind of wound up into this bullish formation, and then have essentially like reversed course. And in this down channel that we've seen today, they're all completely lined up in a bearish formation. So not great there. The MACD, however, there is this recent crossover on the MACD that's gaining momentum. There's additional real estate between the MACD and the signal line crossing over in an upward trajectory. So that's a really good sign. And the RSI is very low, as you would expect, at 42 at the moment. So, we're about, well, when I did this chart, we were just entering power hour for today, which is Thursday, April 29th. And so, I would look for it to potentially have a nice bounce here. Not only did it recently get that 994 bounce, but also it's close to breaking out of the channel. And at a bare minimum, if it can break out of the channel and keep that resistance of 1022, I mean, that's not the most exciting scenario, but that at least gets it out of the channel and gives it some distance between that upper bound of the down channel and the price action. So even sideways motion, in my opinion, at this point would be a really, really good sign. And I think our best sort of outlet there is the MACD crossover and the low RSI, maybe giving us some good buying potential. And we're very, very close to being out of this channel. So that will play out soon. On the macro chart, so this is the, 3-month, 2-hour chart. So it does have this up channel, which is a nice thing to see. And it's been in it for a while, for, I guess, nearly half the chart. And that, to me, is the most important thing. So even if we do get a dip here, that could just give you potentially a nice dip buying opportunity toward the bottom of the channel. And, it does have that near-term support at 1058, 1141, as we would have seen earlier in the day when I made this macro chart. There was about, 5 hours between when I made the macro and the micro. So, I would say there's definitely upward price targets here to get us into the 14s, as you see in the chart. It's gonna be a road, but if it can continue to follow this channel and you're willing to be in this for a little bit of a longer term trade, then I think, you have, like, this is your path, essentially. The MAs are all in a bullish formation, which is great to see. And then there's even bullish momentum on the MACD, but it is coming down. That said, the bearish momentum was also retreating, so it was kind of flattening out a bit. So I don't know if it's gonna, like, after this big recent push, or several recent pushes, if it's going to kind of coil up for a little bit and prepare for its next big move one way or another. But the MACD seemed to kind of signal potentially like a sideways motion coming up. The RSI 65 nearly overbought, so that's when it was toward the top of the channel there, as you can see. So it has undoubtedly cooled off by now. But, I would just watch, if you're going to continue to play a channel like this, just remember, dip buy toward the bottom of the channel, take profit toward the top of the channel. Don't try to do the opposite. You're probably going to get burned. So don't try to buy toward the top of the channel because it's probably going to come down, and don't take profit. Or, it would be a poor decision to sell out at the bottom of the channel, because you could at least wait to see if it's going to break the channel or not, because at that point you're so close to a breaking of the channel stop loss that you might as well, kind of let that play out if it's going to. So dip buy at the bottom of the channel, take profit at the top of the channel. And so it's not surprising. It's okay if the RSI is high and it's at the top of the channel, because that's not where you'd be looking to take a dip buy position anyway. All right. And the analysts still are giving CLOV some upside, a pretty solid upside, actually over 20%. On the high side being 15, on the low end being 10. 10 is like just below the current price at this point. So even the low analyst price target isn't that far off from the current trading price. And that, of course, is not like the word of God, if you will, an analyst, that's for sure. But again, we look at the analyst just to say, basically, like, to the extent that any part of the herd follows the analysts, that might give us some indications of when people are willing to buy and when people are going to look to sell, when they'll think something is underpriced, when they think something is overpriced, just based on these ratings. To the extent that other people take them seriously, we take that sentiment seriously. So hopefully that makes sense. But basically, this also isn't like a really great sample of analysts. There's just 4 analysts here, and they did 2 buy and 2 hold. So that's why you get this kind of like moderate buy. No one's saying sell, but just half of the pack, and it's a very small pack, is saying buy. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Again, short squeeze potential. There's a lot of news articles about it. You can definitely keep up with those. You can keep an eye on Wall Street Bets, see what sort of some of the DB is saying there. Always an interesting place to hang out. And then, just do some of your own research. You can very easily Google the most shorted stocks, or the stocks with the highest short interest. Things like that will yield you some free resources to let you see how many people are taking short, are shorting the stock, if you will. And it'll sort of rank it by how, like, is that the most shorted stock? Is that the least shorted? Is it like the 10th most shorted stock? So obviously anything toward the top of the most shorted is going to be considered a very, very heavily shorted stock, and then brings with it the potential for a squeeze, but you need a lot of people buying in to offset a lot of those short sellers. All right, hopefully that was helpful, and good luck if you're in this one. I'd be interested to see or to hear from folks about how they're playing it. So please feel free to comment below. Also, let me know in the comments, if this sort of like short squeeze, short seller thing is of interest. There's definitely more tickers that we could look at that kind of fit this realm, and this has become such a hype factor in terms of how people are deciding to trade and when to trade and what to trade. It could be kind of an interesting thing to unfold. And I could also make sort of these presentations and focus more just on the short selling side of things, whereas today I kind of tried to cram all the short selling stuff plus the charts plus the analysts, and give a little background on what happened. So I could narrow focus and just kind of try to dig up as much rationale along the lines of like, is there any reality behind a short squeeze here? So let me know what you think in the comments. It would be helpful, of course. All right, well, I hope you all are closing out the week strong and that everything is going well, and I will see you all in the next video.